Hi, welcome to an OSLO tutorial about the green check mark to accept changes and the red X mark to cancel changes or pending entries. These are most commonly used with when spreadsheets are open, but they're always available to you. They're the type of feature that's actually quite useful. It's very good to have it. I appreciate it quite a lot, but you do need to adjust to using them because it's not a commonly used feature in programs. So we thought that it was a very good idea to show you how to use them well. So if I just enter a command, and here I'm just entering in print except, I can choose to hit the green check mark, and that actually is equivalent to hitting enter. It runs that command that I've typed in, and you can see here in the text window it's printed except. I can similarly do print reject or cancel, I suppose, and if I hit the red X, it didn't actually run that command. It effectively canceled running the command instead of running it. Now the green check mark in this particular case would be equivalent to hitting enter, and the X mark is equivalent to hitting escape on your keyboard. If you also look in the command history, only the print except is here because the other command was never actually run. So this is a very basic way to show how the X can operate a little bit as an undo. But it works much more like an undo for a larger set of changes when you use it with a spreadsheet. So here I've opened the Lens spreadsheet editor, and I've got a Petsful Lens example that's just in the demo folder, although I've saved it somewhere else. But here it is. Here's what the numbers are. If I make no changes and I hit the red X and the green check mark, nothing really happens. Nothing special occurs. But once I make a change, say I make this minus 35 and I want to turn the auto draw window off. If I do that and I hit cancel, it prompts me. It says, do I undo all changes? Now if I said no here, don't undo all changes, it would go ahead and be equivalent to hitting the green check mark because it would still close the spreadsheet, but it would save those changes. So that's what I'm going to do this time. And you can see those changes have been saved. Now let's say I want to make this minus 36 and I want to turn this window back on. I hit the red X. It says undo all changes and I say yes this time. When I go to open that spreadsheet up again, it actually canceled those changes. It didn't actually keep them as changes that I've made. The other thing you can do, of course, if that does cancel, minus 36 again here for that number, and then I do draw on. If I hit the green check mark, it will go ahead and store those changes so that if I go back here to open the spreadsheet editor, you can see now that those alterations are still present. At this point, if I go and I open this file again, so I go here and I open the file again, I get prompted. Here. It says save the changes. Even though I've used the green check mark, that's not saving the file. You have to save the file separately. So if I hit no here, don't save the changes, it will actually go back and I'm back to where I was when I first started the tutorial because I didn't actually save my changes to the hard drive. So to do that, I would do minus 35 and I might turn this off. I hit the green accept check mark and I go ahead and save the file. Then if I go and open it back up again and look here, I've saved those changes. One key thing here that I just showed you is when I made my changes, I was quite sure that I understood exactly where I was. I had already hit this green check mark to get out of that spreadsheet to make sure those changes were stored. And I like to do that because you'll find you can get cases where you've made some changes to a spreadsheet and then you save the file. So let's say I make a change to this, minus 33 now. Let's turn this back on. I go ahead and I hit save, and now I hit the X, and it says undo changes. What changes? I just saved. Well, if I actually undo the changes, now I'm in a very strange sort of state where what I have here is actually something that it doesn't match what is in the stored version on my hard drive, what I just saved. So what I like to do to keep everything nice and clean is I only open and close files when I have all of the spreadsheets shut down. You don't have to do that if you become used to knowing where you are in the program and what you have saved and what you have changed. So this is one of the things that requires you to adjust your thinking a little bit when using this type of feature versus a standard Control-Z undo type of feature that's in programs like Word, of course. Another thing that's important to know about these check marks is that if I come in here and then I go to another spreadsheet that is subsidiary, that was called from this other spreadsheet. If I come here and I make a change, so right now this is 546, which actually in the demo folder, it's actually 587.6. So I'm going to change this back. So I'm changing it back, and I hit this green check mark. If I hit the X now, it says undo changes. If I say yes, and then I come back in here, you'll see this is back to 546 where I had changed it to 587. So when you have a spreadsheet that's been called from another spreadsheet, it's important to get back up to the top level if you want that data stored. So I go green check mark here, green check mark here, and then if I open it back up, under the wavelength here now, it's 587. And then if I want to save that information, I come out here and I can save it. So it is important to keep straight what you have stored and what you don't have stored, and then make sure to save files, save current lenses with this button. The only other thing that I'm going to mention about this is because we're flying around here a lot of the time using these check marks and using these X's, the green check mark is equivalent to holding shift down and hitting enter. And that's what I just did on my keyboard. And the X mark, minus 36 here, if I hit shift and then escape, it's equivalent to hitting the red X mark. I'm mentioning those keystrokes because they are really useful when you are flying through, working fast, and sometimes it's a little bit faster than actually using the mouse to hit the green check mark and the red X. The other thing I'm going to show is I've got a version of this where I've actually put some operands in here and some variables. If you're just starting with the program, don't worry too much about that. The point of what I'm going to show you is some place where this is really useful. So I have a bunch of variables here, and if I run the optimizer in this particular case, it makes a whole bunch of changes and optimizes the system. Let's say I don't like the results from that optimization cycle. I can actually use the red X and undo all of the changes that the optimizer just made, which was a whole bunch of changes. So I'm doing this without having to write files to my hard drive and open them back up and save them again and these sorts of things. So it's a very powerful way to do an undo for a number of changes that you've done. But the key is you must understand how to use them and how to use them properly, because it is a little bit of a dual-edged sword where if you use it improperly, you may end up losing some changes that you prefer to save. So I tend to, when I'm working on the program, I tend to be very careful about when I get some changes and I want to make sure I keep them, I not only hit the green check mark, get back to this top, I usually also go in and make sure to save the file as well. I hope you found this useful. Thank you.